Back here on Weekend Joe here on Claves Online, and the announcement about a week or two ago, WWE and NXT coming back to St. Louis. Excited for the debut of NXT on CW coming in October. And joining us now to talk about that is the WWE Hall of Famer. He is Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid. Shawn, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Shawn is I'm 39 years old, grew up in the Attitude Era, one of the greatest eras ever of wrestling. And what you guys are doing now, WWE NXT, business is absolutely booming. And from what you are seeing on your end and what you are able to do with NXT, take me back to what you saw back when you were right there in the middle of the Attitude Era to what you're seeing now with the business of wrestling.
Well, certainly it's a good time. No denying that. I think they're different, certainly eras from maybe from a content standpoint of what it is we're doing on television, but certainly from I don't know. I don't know if it's morale, time, passion. The product itself it's a very good time right now. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that there's such synergy, I think, now between all of the brands, but also with the talent and the creative and all of that. We're just sort of clicking on all cylinders from an overall company standpoint. And I think that's just something that obviously starts from a leadership standpoint. But everybody is so encouraged, so excited about what it is we're doing. Everybody's pulling the rope in the same direction. And everybody is in this together. So it's hard not to have success, I think, when things are, that camaraderie and that closeness is so on point.
And with that, I mean, NXT is moving networks. You guys are moving to the CW network starting in October with those first shows October 1st and October 8th, and you guys are taking those out on the road. When was the decision made to start taking NXT out of the Performance Center out onto the road? Was that you? How much convincing did you need to do with Triple H to make that happen? How did that all come about?
Well, so there's always, we always have times where we talk about being able to get out a bit more on the road and with the possibilities of doing that. And, you always have to worry about what's best for the product and what's, and what's within reason. But look, I think when this, unbelievable, 5-year partnership, got announced with CW, that was just something that we wanted to make a big splash when we did it. It's a fantastic deal. It's a fantastic partnership. The CW is so behind NXT, so encouraged about having them on their network. It just seemed like the right thing to do is to make a huge splash in those first couple shows. So the decision was made to go to Chicago and then to follow it up with the show in St. Louis on the 8th. And look, there's also going to be other possibilities. Those are all announcements that'll be yet to come. And look, there's always going to be evolution when it comes to the NXT product and the WWE as a whole. We're always trying to continue to go to that next level, of the sports entertainment genre. But for right now, excited about these first 2 shows. NXT is doing something, and so are Raw and SmackDown. It's not really seen much in linear television anymore. That has continued to grow their audience and to grow a younger audience. And anytime you're doing that right now in the television landscape, it's darn near a miracle. So right now, as you mentioned earlier, is a very encouraging time for the WWE as a whole. And obviously NXT very excited, about this relationship with the CW. And again, very excited about getting out on the road, especially into the 2 towns we're going to. Hard to beat Chicago and St. Louis when it comes to rich wrestling history.
I want to get to your history in St. Louis in a bit, but you mentioned the relationships. You talked about the camaraderie a few times already. One of the biggest relationships and one of the biggest things going in all of professional wrestling right now is the relationship that NXT has with TNA. It's something it's unseen in the world of wrestling, what you guys are doing, and some of the superstars you're bringing in from TNA that are on your TVs every week for NXT. Is this something that's going to continue into the CW? Is this something that's here to stay? How do you foresee that relationship moving forward?
Well, look, right now I think it's going fantastic. Right, I couldn't honestly tell you what the future holds. I believe that it's something that, as we see that it's working, and both sides benefit. I don't foresee there being any problems with that going forward. And I guess it's what I, from the standpoint of NXT and then these partnerships, for us, it's so much about having the opportunity to get our young superstars repetitions, I think that over time, Hunter and Nick, found it, advantageous to go ahead and, talk to these other people who also have other superstars again that our young talent could work with, and it only seemed to make sense. And so I think it's something that is absolutely working. I think the fans enjoy it. I think it's fun as a fantasy booker to possibly think about all these great matchups that could happen. And so I see it continuing to be a partnership as long as it's working for both sides, which I think that it is. So I don't see any of it stopping anytime soon. But as I always say, I'm certainly not the guy that makes all the big, heavy decisions. But for right now, the future is very bright for both, TNA, NXT, and any other partnerships you might be having with NXT or the WWE as a whole, because things are cooking right now, as everybody says.
If we're going to play fantasy booker here, Shawn, you guys are debuting on a new network. You guys are looking to make a big splash in October. That's right around. I mean, we are in Survivor Series. We're in War Game season. There is that something we could? I mean, those NXT superstars that you have, we've seen them do it before. Is this something that you can maybe get involved in at the Raw and SmackDown level too?
Yeah. Well, look, anything is possible in the WWE. And I do know that, again, besides CM Punk being in Chicago and Randy Orton, the Viper, being in St. Louis, I just got to believe there are going to be other main roster superstars hanging around. So you never know what's going to happen down the line. All I know is that right now is an exciting time to be a fan of the WWE, to be part of the WWE universe. It's a good time, for wrestling in general. And for those of us that have been doing this for a long, long time, it's a fantastic thing to see and a fantastic thing to be a part of.
And Raw is, of course, in town that day before, so a lot of superstars could just delay their flight a day and stick around for one of those shows, I guess.
They're already there.
Your history in St. Louis, Shawn. So, for a guy that has done so many things in wrestling throughout the years, when it comes to certain cities, when you're talking about going to Chicago or going to St. Louis, are there memories that you have specifically to those cities, or does it become a blur? Do you remember certain things you did in St. Louis throughout your career?
Yeah, I do. Well, and again, certainly the big ones. I mean, I would be lying if I didn't say it's certainly, especially everybody knows me and my history. Lots of things are a blur, but there are certainly obviously moments. Because for me, St. Louis, I always think of I can remember back in the Kiel Auditorium. So the very early days with Central States. But then for me, the first thing that comes to my mind is the first Hell in a Cell with Taker.
Yep.
And the story behind that is obviously, for me, that a lot of people don't know about, is that Hunter and I had to go to the emergency room till about 4 a.m. because I couldn't get the cut on my head to stop bleeding, and at that time we didn't have medical at the facility at those times. So we sat there in the emergency room with Hunter with a piece of gauze on my head, waiting for my head to get stitched up. But first Hell in a Cell match is what is my best history story in St. Louis.
Not only you and Undertaker in St. Louis, I mean those three go together, because 2010 also Elimination Chamber here in St. Louis. You coming up from under the ring at the end of the match and costing Taker his title there, trying to get yourself in the main event of WrestleMania
that's
that
one
year.
I totally forgot. I have to be honest. I apologize for cutting you off. That's one I forgot. That was in St. Louis as well. So yeah, and that one being so big, obviously, the match with Taker, those two were just something that will remain deep in my heart for a long, long time.
So coming up, it's October 7th, Monday Night Raw. October 8th, it is the second week of NXT on CW. Randy Orton's going to be there, Shawn. A few weeks ago, Randy Orton was in St. Louis. Well, he's always in St. Louis, but he was at Busch Stadium throwing out the first pitch for the St. Louis Cardinal game. I have the video of that. I want to show you video of his first pitch, and I want some critiquing of Randy's first pitch here.
St. Louis native Randy Orton throwing out the ceremonial first pitch. It was okay. It wasn't great. It's not going to be time.
It's all right. It's all right. I have to tell you, we have all done that.
I've looked for video of you throwing out a first pitch. I was digging for it. I could not find it anywhere. So what's your history with throwing out first pitch?
Arizona Diamondbacks, I believe, is when I did it. And I'm telling you, nothing more nerve-wracking than having to do that in front of a stadium full of people, especially those of us that don't do it. I warmed up for like an hour. So Randy had a lot more air in mine. Mine was a bit tighter than that. But I will say, in Randy's defense, he's had shoulder troubles in his career. So he's probably taking it easy on the shoulders as well. But there's nothing more difficult than going out there and throwing that first pitch in front of everybody. It's everybody worries about making themselves, getting themselves on Sports Center.
I was going to say, it's probably a good thing that when you can't find video of it, that means that you didn't do a terrible job and it lives forever.
Yeah, that's the one, because that's when you don't want to make Sports Center, because it's not pretty.
Shawn, we cannot wait to see WWE back here in St. Louis. 8th. It is October 8th, the second week of NXT on CW. You guys are taking NXT out on the road, and for wrestling fans everywhere, it's a really, really exciting time in the world of wrestling.
It is, Joe. Thank you very much for helping us out with this, and obviously looking forward to coming to St. Louis and seeing everybody on October 8th.
He is Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid. See it October 7th and October 8th. Shawn, thank you so much.
You bet.